When I found out there was a small train every hour to Jerusalem, I just had to get on one. The way it winds its way up through the mountains is just awesome. But due to security issues, I wasn't able to hang out the window and do the whole mad filming thing. So I just had to be content sneaking the few shots that I did. The recently completed Ottoman Railway system turned out to be one of the most important instruments in the whole Palestinian war. From Constantinople, a broad gauge line had been built with the help of German engineers all the way down to Damascus. From here, an older narrow gauge line continued all the way down to Mecca, 300 miles south, with branch lines made into Palestine and down past Beersheba and Gaza. It was officially called the Hejaz Railway, but unofficially it was given the term the Pilgrims Railway because its main purpose was to offer easy travel for Muslims to get to Mecca, their sacred city. Before the railway arrived, it was a painfully slow, dusty trek on the back of a camel for weeks to make it down into Arabia, but behind a little German steam engine, the same trip would take just a few days. Basically, it was one long publicity stunt by the declining Ottoman Empire to gain favour from all the Muslim Arab groups under their control. But, of course, once the war had moved into Palestine, this railway became the major supply mechanism for all the Turkish armies. It also, therefore, became a major target for the Allied army. So as we come to the end of the short journey, we actually find ourselves in the same area that the only Australian troops were used as part of the battle for Jerusalem, and they were only used as a token gesture so that we could say we were involved in the final taking of Jerusalem. When our train pulled into Jerusalem, it was to the new station. This is the original Turkish Ottoman station of Jerusalem. It still stands in terrible condition, sadly. There's a great picture in the archives of our soldiers and British soldiers wounded lying on this very platform underneath the canopy here. I'm so glad this building remains, even though it's quite young compared to most of the buildings in this great city. But gee, I wish it could write its memoirs. Where I'm trying to walk right now is called the Shepherd's Fields, and this is the kind of country that had to be fought through, about 20 kilometres of it to be able to take Jerusalem. So it's no wonder that they didn't use the light horse with their neddies. Of course, it was mainly British foot soldiers that came through this kind of thing. And what's unbelievable about it, it was pouring rain in November and it was freezing cold. And you can see with all the rocks and that how easy it would be on these hills for Turkish snipers to hide and just pick people off as they tried to make their way towards the city. So it's absolutely remarkable that within 20 days the job was done. Now standing here, you get an amazing view. This is called Shepherd's Fields because we're just behind Bethlehem. And it's believed, tradition says, this is where the shepherds were when the angels came to inform them of the birth of the Christ.